Here we are in my garage, and the default workspace is collection. Now, this is a way for you to manage your digital garage. So think all of your vehicles, your automotive items, even your collectibles and memorabilia. This is a place that you can detail and construct all the documentation and important facts and information about your automotive collection. So to begin, let's do a quick introduction to the workspace. At the very top, we have the ability to search. So if you have a lot of items, like you want to catalog all of your parts, this is a great way to quickly find the correct item. Now, as we move to the top right, you'll notice at the very top, the main action here is to add new. And when we make that selection, you can see that you can create two different types of items, either a vehicle or an automotive item, which is perfect for, again, collectibles, memorabilia, parts. So you can make whatever selection is appropriate. Obviously, for an automotive item, there's less information to log. So here you give a name, description. You can optionally put a manufacturer/make and enter a year. Now notice in RumbleSeat, any fields that are required are indicated with the red asterisk and the red field. Here for vehicle, you can say I can put make, model, year, the style, and then you can even define the item name. Now we automatically begin to construct that item name. So as you enter in information, so if I enter in 1998, 9/11, you can see it starts to automatically construct in the item name, but you're free to edit that and modify it. So next we have item description. And again, when you're done building your item, you can click continue and that item will be created. And then you can go into that item by clicking the thumbnail, and here you have the ability to continue to detail out all the information about an item in your collection. Now, before we do a deep dive into the edit mode or the detail view of an item that's in your collection, let's finish off with a quick understanding of the workspace for your collection. Now, you also have the ability to filter and sort, so a quick handy way to really organize your collection in the way that's important to you and see the content that's meaningful. And next you have the ability to see a sort of a grid view or a list view of your items. So you can choose to toggle back and forth between the two different modes. Now let's go back into the item and let's take a look at this sort of general overview of the edit mode for an item in your garage. And at the very top here is the title of your item and the description. That's what you entered in the very first screen. You can always click the little pencil icon to make modifications to that. So if you want to adjust the name of the item, the description, you're free to do that at any time. Now at the very top, notice that there is an arrow to go back to your collection, and I can re-enter an item by clicking it. You'll also see edit mode and view mode. Now, of course, edit mode is when you're making changes, you're adding details and content to your item, you're in the edit mode. If you toggle to view, this is what people will see if you choose to share an item from your collection. Now, RumbleSeat has some powerful controls to allow you to securely and safely share an item. You can even choose what data is being shared from an item. This is a great way to hand off information to, say, an insurance broker. Maybe you want to take an item to auction, whatever it might be. You can pass off important information to anybody that you deem should have access to that information. And we'll talk about that workflow in a moment's time. Now next, I want to draw your attention to this little stacked menu here at the very top right. This is the ability to access additional features and controls for your item. So here you can invite a garage manager, and a garage manager is somebody you want to grant access to be able to actually interact, edit, and modify everything about this particular item. Now I'll also point out that you can choose to invite a garage manager to more than one item. So you can see where you can choose to authorize access. In this drop down here, you can go and multi-select various items that you wish to grant access to. Now, next in the stacked menu, you have list in marketplace. So if you ever want to add one of your items to the RumbleSeat marketplace as either a classified or an auction, you would make that selection, choose the appropriate type of listing, and then complete all the details in the guided create listing workflow. Next, you have the ability to transfer item data. So let's say that you successfully sell your item to a RumbleSeat user through the marketplace or even externally. You have the ability to add an email address. You can choose to transfer all the information you have for an item, or you can choose to customize and deselect certain information that you don't want to transfer or hand off to maybe a new acquirer. Somebody bought your item. So RumbleSeat has a built-in guided item transfer workflow to hand off all that information to a new user. Now, we'll point out that when you do transfer the item, it doesn't physically get removed from your garage. You'll have access to all your data. So for record-keeping purposes, it just basically copies and clones the information and provides it to the person that you have granted access to that particular data. Now, in terms of the share workflow, if I click share, there are 3 ways that you can share information that you add to your collection in RumbleSeat. You can do a general share. This is a way to create a private link, and you can send this link to, again, an insurance broker. Maybe you want an appraisal. You want to send it to a restoration provider and to get a bid or a quote. Whatever you deem as necessary. A general share allows you to effectively, securely email a person access to see the information, again, that you enable. Now, public garage share, every RumbleSeat account has a public share profile URL. So think of it as like your homepage. Here you can configure what displays on your public profile, including you can have a public garage. So maybe there's certain items that you're proud of that you want to share with the RumbleSeat community. You can add and remove items to your public garage to let others see really a glimpse into your garage, your collection. Next, there's a car club registry share. So if you're a member of a car club and you want to share your item to be included in the club's registry, you can also choose to add to club registry. Now, when you make a selection, you'll be guided through the steps to complete that decision. So if I go to general share, I'll just use this as an example. You'll name your share, you'll click create, and here at the very top, you have a bunch of controls to do things like add enhanced security, like add a password. So whoever accesses this item that you're sharing, they'll have to enter the password in order to see the content. You can also download a QR code. There's a direct link to be able to just copy this and send it in email. You can even use RumbleSeat to actually email invitations to this item. So you can add 1 or more email addresses, separating them by a comma, and you can invite folks using their email address. Now, you also have the ability to, again, disable content. So if you don't want the recipient to see certain things like maybe the attributes or documents, any of the content that's in your item, you can disable that with the toggle. And you can also individually select things. So let's say you have an array of maintenance tasks. You can deselect 1 or more maintenance tasks. So it's either turn off the whole section, or you can even cherry pick and turn off certain elements from a section. Now, I'll point out that at the very top of a share, you have view. And again, this is what the recipient will see when they click the link to see your item. So think of this as just a preview of the item. So again, a great way to just ensure that whoever's receiving this is seeing the right content. Okay, so let's head back now that we've looked at the stacked menu and all the controls there. In the balance of this video, we'll just take a look at the sections that are available in edit mode. At the very top, we have the title and the description. In the next section is photos and videos. So here you have the ability to click the little plus icon, and at any time you can upload by dragging and dropping. This could be photos and video. You can even insert media, a photo or a video, from a URL. Now, this works in a vast majority of the times, but there are certain circumstances and certain websites that prohibit third parties from actually accessing media. So you may get a message saying that you can't extract a photo or video from that particular link, but in many cases it works. Now, if you don't want to drag and drop, you can just click on this workspace here where it says drag and drop, and that will bring up a media browser to select your files. So again, you can arrange and manage all the photos and video. If you click on this little grid icon, that will call up the gallery view, so you can see all of your media in one view. You can click on an image and that will bring it up in a lightbox so you can see further details. So that is the photo video component. And again, you can click view all to extend and see all the content here as well. Now, the next section is what's called attributes. And attributes is a way for you to sort of log information about your item, and you can even create custom information to log and chronicle for your item. So if you click the little plus icon, Here's the attribute library. And so RumbleSeat has constructed a pretty vast library of different common attributes, things that you would want to, detail or chronicle or notate about an item. And if you don't see something, by searching or scrolling through the list, you can click Create, and here you have the ability to create a custom attribute. So you assign a name and a description, and then you can input content and log that content as part of your item. So it's a great way to, again, just have all the details and information necessary to, again, track information about your item. Now, as we scroll down, you can see documents and archival records. Again, you're going to see a plus icon for all these sections, and that allows you to create a new entry. So documents and archival records, this could be things like owner's manuals or just any important information, maybe historic documents that you've scanned you want to keep record of. And I will point out that for each item, you'll notice there's a little stacked menu here where you can view the item. You can also edit. And when you go to edit, you have the ability to put in a file name and a file description. So it's a great way to, again, detail your attachments, your documents, just to keep notes and records by adding a simple title and description. You also notice as part of that menu for each item, you can directly download or choose to delete. Now, as we scroll down, the next section is maintenance tasks. So here you can create and manage all of the maintenance tasks for this particular item. So you can see here, I've already created a few. There's 2 for this particular item. And here I have the ability to see a summary of the total maintenance costs. So we keep a sum total of all your maintenance costs, provided you've entered in the cost. And here I can click plus, and here is the new maintenance task window. And of course, the current item that's selected is already in the dropdown. So you can give a task title, a description, you can input a maintenance cost, a due date, and you can also make a maintenance task repeating. So if you want to have this as maybe an annual task, you could enter in to repeat on a specific cadence. So I can repeat every 1 year, and I can repeat until, let's say we need to complete this maintenance for the next 10 years. You can repeat until a specific end date or leave as blank, and I'll just continue to renew each and every year. You can also set a reminder. So maybe you want to receive one reminder, or you want to receive a reminder, let's say it's 1 week before the maintenance is due. So it's a really great way to stay on top of all your maintenance tasks by creating reminders. Now you can also drag and drop photos, documents, attachments, anything that's necessary or relevant as part of this maintenance task. And again, for record keeping purposes, investing the time to document and detail everything like maintenance and service, this will become valuable if you ever go to transact your item, because that will have a sort of a digital paper trail of all the information necessary that might be important for a future purchaser and to build their confidence that things were maintained properly because you have such great record keeping. I'll go ahead and close this window down. And as we make our way down, the next is service and restoration. And very similar to maintenance, you can create a service record. So you can enter in the title. Again, it's already associated with this item since we're working in the item. You can add notes. You can choose to create a service provider or select one directly from your previous entries. Again, cost, date performed, and you can add files just like with a maintenance task. So think of maintenance as the things that maybe you're performing or are sort of routine, whereas service records are really for things like major restoration or major maintenance. So think of the difference between the two. Maintenance are kind of the standard issue, commonsensical things, whereas service and restoration is really dedicated for the larger restoration type projects. Now, as we continue to make our way down, next is events. This is a great way to chronicle and log the different events related to your item. So if you're taking your vehicle on a tour, you want to detail and document, that you and your vehicle participate in that tour, again, to help with provenance and record keeping. You click the little plus icon here and you can create an event and register your item as part of that event. So think if you're, entering your vehicle to be judged or you win an award, these are all really important things to track that can add value and help establish provenance. Next is ownership history. So again, if you want to chronicle the different owners, maybe you have record keeping from when you bought a vehicle and it shows maybe the past 4 owners, you can detail those and include the ownership sequence number to again create a story behind your item. And as we make our way down, the next section is valuation. This is a great way to log different, public available sources that might lead to helping to construct a case for valuing your item. So let's say one of your items sells at auction, or a similar item to maybe your vehicle. You can log valuation, and you can choose the comparable type. So maybe it was an auction transaction or a dealership transaction. Maybe something was published in a price guide, or you got an appraisal. So you can detail that valuation here, including things like links, notes, photos, video, any content that might be relevant to helping to establish, the authenticity of a valuation. Now we're almost done. There's a few more sections here. We have references. This is a great way to chronicle and log different online references that might, again, have information about your item. So let's say that you found a blog post, or maybe an automotive historian wrote an article that's online about your vehicle or something that's related. So this is just a great way to keep sort of a library of different important information. This could even be a reference to the manufacturer's library with user guides, right? Or a user manual, a direct link to that user manual. Now next we have garage managers. We kind of talked about that above in the stacked menu at the very top right, but here you also have the ability to create and also manage the different garage managers that you've assigned to this particular item. And then lastly, we have a sharing history and management. So this is a journal of all of the secure shares that you've created. It includes the type of share. So you can see it's color coded. You can see the very first thing you'll see is the type of share, whether it's a general share, maybe it's a car club, registry share, public garage share, so you know exactly the type. You can copy the link, you can preview the share, you can also download the QR code, and of course you can click the little pencil icon, which is universally used throughout RumbleSeat, and that is the ability to edit that particular share. So that is a summary of all the feature function that's available for managing your collection. Again, in summary, the way we like to think about the RumbleSeat garage, in particular this section, which is your digital collection, this is really your digital garage. This is a place to detail, store securely all the important information about your vehicles. And here I just have an example. It could be vehicles, it could be an aircraft, boat, it could be, again, your collectibles, your memorabilia, parts that you want to create a digital ledger and be able to manage important information. And once you have this information, it's portable. You can share it. You can add it as a classified or auction listing in the RumbleSeat marketplace. You can download your content. It's always safe and secure and ready for access. And this solves a big problem. We've heard horror stories about, losing information, or it's, scattered everywhere. It's online and, Google Drive or Dropbox or other places. So really the goal with this was to just bring all that information into one convenient place, but then give you and really empower you with the ability to take that information and take action. Again, it could be as simple as you needing an insurance quote, or again, maybe you're ready to sell your vehicle, you need to do item handover. All that information is digitally managed. Now, if you have any questions about this or any of the other workspaces in RumbleSeat, make sure to reach out to our team. You can drop an email to support@rumbleseat.com.